Hello, welcome back to Valerine's channel. I still haven't figured out what I want to do this year, so I'm just gonna keep rambling on with this video until I figure it out. But anyway, today I want to talk about let's not chase things. I feel like for ever since I was a kid, I always been chasing things, chasing money, chasing acknowledgement, chasing affection, chasing being a good person, chasing good grades, and I feel like I never arrived. You never arrived when you chase something. It's just a very hard game to play because you're always going to reach out all the time, and it's really complicated because that's a feeling where you don't feel like you will ever be enough. The feeling you will never reach anywhere. It's like, for example, like this YouTube channel, right? Like last year, I was like, oh, I just want to be monetized. I just want to be monetized. Like, I'll be happy with that. Like, very low bar minimum requirement. And I did that within like 6 months. But it just becomes, by the time it arrived, I was like already complaining about, oh, it's not making enough. It's not making enough. Why is it not enough? Like completely forgotten the fact that I wasn't even monetized. I wasn't even able to generate the ad revenue before that. And I think like that's a good example for me personally because I feel I didn't really soak up because there's a lot of reason to that as well, like mental wise and emotional wise, it wasn't a good space, and it still is not a good space right now, but I feel like I'm have more space now to kind of reflect on it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, last year I did a documentary, not a documentary, but maybe like vlogging or videoing my uh 40th year to 2020. In 2024 I turned 40 years old, so I decided to vlog it 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, for the whole year. So that's what I'm talking about. I And it was really difficult because if you never reach that place that you aiming, or you have reached it and but you just keep changing the goalposts, you will never ever feel like you've done anything in your life. You will always feel like you never done anything. You're always going to assume that you are worthless because you never reached any goal that you achieved. But at the same time, I also recognize like once you reach a place that you wanted to be for a long time, you are you are done with that, right? Like there is this manifestation law that basically says like like Abraham Hicks say this all the time. If you don't know who she is, you can just search it on YouTube, like law of attraction. Abraham Hicks, Hicks, and she basically usually says like once you things are manifested, it's old news. Once things are manifested, it's old news. And the future is the present, and the present is the past. That type of uh, philosophy. I mean, I kind of understand because you are creating the future from the present, and you are kind of like projecting your aura or your mental self onto the future. And then, so by the time it arrived, it no longer feels new because you've been there in your mind, and it's like, it's an old thing. It's like it's stale. I feel a bit like that nowadays with money as well. It's like I've been chasing money ever since I was a child. Like I'm 40 years old now, and it becomes a very stale. But at the same time, it's a tricky thing with this particular subject for me personally because it's like it doesn't arrive, but when it arrives, like it dribbles, and you just think like, oh, is it coming or is it not coming? It's like, oh, this is like this desire of wanting to acquire it just keeps expanding, but the moment never arrives, so you feel very depleted and energetical wise and mentally wise, because it feels like you've done all you can to achieve something, but that's the thing that you focused on. Like you focus on the things that you never be able to reach, and you completely forgotten about the other events on the other milestones that you have achieved in the past. And that's important. Like those are very important, especially when you are down, especially when you're feeling stuck. You need to remind of yourself like the moments that you have achieved the goals that you set up for yourself. And it doesn't matter how lame it is or how you think that it's not important. You do this in the comfort of your own mind, like, or maybe when you're alone, maybe before you go to sleep. And you can do this. You can do this exercise where you just list all the things that you set up yourself out to do, and you achieve them. And if you can't, if you because I frequent the space of, no, you don't understand. I can't do it. There was nothing in the past that I have done that I have reached. I am a loser. And keep insisting this particular fact, and until everyone get really frustrated. Uh, even ChatGPT gets really frustrated. Even ChatGPT these days basically just, I feel like I already trained it so well. It basically says, well, I'm here if you want to talk more. It doesn't even give me any more suggestions about, oh, what can you do? Like extremely little steps that can ease your anxiety right now. Oh, what little steps can you do to feel a bit of relief? It doesn't even do that anymore now because I keep shutting it down by saying nothing will ever make me feel like relief or release this anxiety from my body. Like, so now it just says, well, I'm here if you want to talk more, just let me know. So I am definitely like one of those people. So yeah, I definitely understand. um but you have to do it, I think. And if you can't do it, then you have to do something that is, I think neurotypical does this a lot, but you have to do something silly, like tomorrow's goal is to open my eyes. And then, so by the time it's tomorrow and you open your eyes, you just tick a box. You just did something that you set yourself out to do. Tomorrow's goal is like drink 1 cup of water, just like this much, just this much. And then if you did it, that means like you just achieved a goal. And I know that sounds very silly, but that's where it starts. You just have to start very, very small. And if you don't have any type of records of the past where you achieve your goals, then you just have to make it up yourself by doing these. Sometimes a shower is such a huge burden. It's really hard to get out of bed and do that. For the longest time when I was in depression, I think for a good 3 years, shower is a very challenging thing. Maybe I just like shower every 3 days or something. And this is not like during the dead of winter. This is like just a regular, any kind of season. And I didn't even go to the loo at all if I don't have to. And when I was depressed, I didn't. When I was catatonic depressed, I think I have to identify that particular aspect, because I think I am always going to be a recovering depressed person, because I feel like it's something that maybe we never healed from. I know that sounds sad, but it is what it is. It's like a recovering alcoholic. You will, I don't dare to say that I am healed, because I feel like it's going to come at me if I say that. Um, I was saying like, yeah, so you have to start that way, and then this way you have like a record. You just write it on a piece of paper on a sticky note. I've been starting like journaling again, and I've been watching people on TikTok basically making like little boxes and tixes. Like you can just write it on a sticky note, and then you can just write like, saying things, and it's like really simple stuff. Like, you just make a box and then you say, open open eyes, and then you tick it. Tomorrow when you open your eyes. And that's like a visual thing, like for yourself to see. It's like, yeah, I definitely accomplished something, like I did something. And I feel like that's how I kind of, this might be like a turnaround point for me, like to have that particular uh extremely like silly goals that, excuse me, I made it a goal, which is like open your eyes, because previous years to that, the goal was like, let's go to sleep and hopefully I will be, and like I thought I don't have to wake up tomorrow. And when you wake up the next day, right? Like you basically just fail to your goal automatically. And that went on for a long time. So, you started your day with failure and you can't do that. So the best way to shift, I think, is to start these silly goals like drink water and then you take it, and then you go like have a shower, which is quite a enormous task to do for some people. I have to say that too. And then you have a shower, you take it, you achieve your goal. And I know, like, I mean, like, I usually focus on big things like, making $1 million, making $4 million, and I'm making $40 million. And I feel like I'm basically setting myself up for failure, and I'm not setting up myself for success. I think I'm learning so much about narcissistic people is that they set their bar very low for themselves so that they feel like they're king or they're queen, so that they feel like I've done so well. And I'm trying to implement that, or I have been implementing it, but not as often. And I think like I should implement it like more often. And I'm suggesting that you should do the same too. Like, just make yourself a cup of coffee. Like, put a timer on, like 15 minutes break. Close your eyes, put a timer on for 15 minutes, and you took a break. And that's like your goal. And you took that goal and you tick it off when the alarm goes off and you're done. And, have something like that. So I guess like to feel like you're a lot less like a loser, like never accomplishing anything, you start with something tangible, very small, and then once after a while you kind of add up those results, right? Especially if you make it visual, you see like you've done a lot of things, you're ticking a lot of boxes. That kind of thing kind of gives you a good feeling inside. It's even if you don't consciously feel it, I think it will give you confidence of like, yeah, I can do this. And I think it gives you like an encouragement to try other new things. Maybe it's like you take it really slow, right? Like you take one new thing every year, probably. You start that year with that. And then the next year, maybe like two new things for a year, and you start with that. So if you've done just that two things, but by January, you're set for the whole year, right? You just accomplish your whole year goal in 1 month. So that's pretty cool. I feel like, but I guess don't overdo it because I think that's what I tend to do. Sometimes, like, I overdo it and then I complain that I'm overdoing it and I'm tired. And I guess, like, some people are like that. And you can't stop, like the vlog last year. It was really hard to stop. I'm still having problem stopping myself to not vlog every day because it becomes a habit after a while. Things that you do every day becomes a habit and it has its own momentum, and it's really difficult to stop if you start doing something often and in large quantity. So yeah, so I think that's my takeaway from it. It's just you just have to start really small and ridiculously easy tasks, and that to make you feel like you accomplished something. Because the thing is, you probably have accomplished a lot of things in your life. You just maybe surrounded by people that don't want to acknowledge you, and I think that's also important. Like sometimes we are so blind when we are surrounded by people who are not there for our own best interests, who wants us to fail. And that's probably a very hard reality to accept, but that is true. And so you have to make sure that it is accurate, at least what you perceived. And the easiest way is just to start small and making little charts and boxes that you can tick. That is very simple. And you can feel it after a while. You can feel like a little bit of ease comes into your body, into your mind, into your heart, and the symptoms will start to alleviate, and you'll have these thoughts where you're like, you know what, I did okay. I may not making millions of dollars right now, but for example, in my case, I did monetize, so I did meet my goal, and I did make some money last year, more than I would have if I didn't have that project on. And I learned a lot during the daily vlogging things, and I learned like a little bit of about the algorithm. Yeah, a lot of things didn't go my way for sure, but I also learned that I was capable of creating an output, even though I was totally burnt out and totally tired. But I was still capable of making commitment if I have control over my own time and my own work hours, and not pushing myself to do 9 to 5 like other people's schedule, like, or normal people's schedule. So if I'm being given my own um, time and my own schedule, I still can produce an output consistently 5 days a week. So I learned that about myself, because the year previously I tried to do like a 9 to 5 where I wake up really early and just sit down on a desk like this and just work on my laptop or my iPad for 8 hours. And that did not work. Every time I hit the 2 weeks mark, the first 2 weeks, great. Like, a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. My body works great, like it got some sun because I have to go out, either go to the library or go to a cafe somewhere, or basically just sitting here and then have breakfast, have a very regimented routine. But after, usually on week 3, it's just started going downhill because my body wasn't coping. It's not the best schedule for my body. And I was really disappointed for a good year because I was so afraid, like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, what if I can't? What if I'm actually, what if I have to accept that I am really disabled and I can't be consistent about anything? And that's just really, really, really hard to accept. It's like, oh, but I think having that proof, especially in my feed and in your feed, and that playlist, like the whole playlist is basically that 252 videos of documenting my year for 2024, is proof for me, like there is a physical record that I did that. And yeah, it might not be the greatest video, it's not mine to be the greatest productions, amateurs as shit, but I did it. I did it. And I think it's good to have records. It's good for you to keep records around, because it provides you with proof, especially when you are in a mindset where you are a loser, when you can't do anything, haven't accomplished anything. You can pull this out and you can basically tell yourself, look, these are the proof, these are proofs, these are facts, these are things that you actually did, these are the things that you actually accomplished. And after a while, it does get stale. So you have to keep like a good record, an up to date record of what you have done and what you accomplished. Because one thing I really learned from my vlogs is that my memories are getting blurred as I get older. Like days are blurred and I can't keep time keeping correctly. So I can retrieve memories and be very vivid about the memories, but I don't know when that memory happened exactly. I can estimate, but usually I would estimate based on what I see in the memory, but not like actually knowing where when it happened. And I used to be able to, but now I can't. So there is that too. So I feel like record keeping is really good when you feel like you haven't accomplished anything and you feel like, oh, I'm such a loser. It's a good way to make you feel like you are still sane, because being drowned in the feeling of inadequacy, of not feeling good enough, is a devil's game, and you can't afford to play it. Because especially in the past, I would remember, like, I would say to myself, I would be like proud of myself, like, oh, I'm the youngest, I don't know, the youngest person in this particular grade, for example. I'm so advanced, and I always find out that there is always going to be a younger person than me. And you're always going to find out, like, if you are like the top of your class in high school, for example, and you go to university where all the top of their high school people go, like, that's what university is basically, is like all the smart people from your school go to university. So university is basically a collection of smart people. So you can be like the top of your class in your high school, but in university you can be like very down in the ranking, like very low, because there are people that are smarter than you. But that doesn't diminish your accomplishment in the high school, for example. I think that has to be said, and that's important. Um, just to make sure that, just because something is not working out now, it doesn't mean that it's not gonna keep not working out. Well, that's what I'm telling myself anyway. I'm not there yet. I'm still feeling like very stuck, and still feeling very like, I'm not moving forward. I'm sliding backwards and having a free fall. So I'm not like preaching this because I want you to look up to me, because I'm still a mess as well. But I'm just saying this to leave as a record to myself, probably in the future as well, that, look at the facts, look at the records, look at what you actually did, and, don't be too hard on yourself. Anyway, so that's today's talk. Hopefully it's helpful somewhat. Maybe I will try to do this, just keep making kind of positive motivation talk. Let me know what you think. Anyway, my name is Valerie. I am a digital creator based in Sydney. I just create stuff. Well, I did. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing 2025. But if you want to check out my work, you can go to the links in the description box below. And also, if you're in Australia and you never banked with ING Australia, it's doing its marketing round right now. It's a referral. You can get like a free $125 bonus cash. We did it last year. It was $75 bonus last year. Few people got onto it and they got their money. So hopefully this year, if you guys want to have a free $125 from ING, there is terms and conditions, of course. So just check out the link and read all the conditions that you're required to basically get the 125. It's not really complicated. It's pretty simple, basically. The links is in the description below. That's only available until 31st of March this year, but ING usually does this every quarter. So even if you miss the 2025, just go and check the link in description box. Whenever you of the newest video, if you watch this like, oh, I don't know, maybe in other years, not 2025, they, because ING always does this every quarter, and the money changes. Sometimes it's $75, sometimes it's 100. Like right now it's 125. So that's why I'm promoting it quite heavily. I don't get paid to do this, but I do get paid 125 if you get paid 125. So it's a tit for tat. Like, I'm referring you, so if you do all the steps, you get the money, and I get the money. So it's like that. Like, I won't get the money until you get the money. So, but they don't pay me anything to do this. Yeah. Anyway, link in the description below. I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.